Welcome to another installment of Tech Tips with Matt Rothman. We're here live at the Watkins IT Studios here in Bethesda, Maryland. And for the holiday edition of Tech Tips, I brought on Joe Crabtree. Joe, thank you for coming on the program. It's very fitting that you're on here for the holiday edition because you were the first person I interviewed on Tech Tips.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming on the holiday edition here. And another coming full circle is our first Tech Tips was on Microsoft SharePoint. And on this edition, on the holiday edition, we're going to talk about SharePoint 2010. So Joe, you're a very important part of Tech Tips. So please tell the audience on what SharePoint 2010 is.
Well, first of all, Matt, thanks for having me again. Always a pleasure to be on the program.
Anytime. You're a Tech Tips all-star.
Glad I could make things full circle for you. That's wonderful. Happy holidays out there for all of you.
Happy Hanukkah, even though it's past.
Merry Christmas, and the season's coming up, so it's a good time for cheer and family time, which is always wonderful. Yes, we did talk about SharePoint on our first edition of Tech Tips, which SharePoint was released, the latest version was released around 2007, kind of late 2006, beginning of 2007, and that was the SharePoint WSS 3.0 product.
Okay.
And then they also had Microsoft Office SharePoint Server, which we commonly refer to as MOS.
And real quickly, for my audience that missed that edition of Tech Tips, just real quickly, what is SharePoint? I know it's
SharePoint is really it's a collaborative tool, a kind of a portal workspace type tool that a lot of businesses use for easy information sharing.
Online workspace, intranet, extranet, web content
management, public-facing websites, any of the above, blogs, wikis, document storage, information management policies, enterprise search. I mean, there's so many features of SharePoint. Refer back to the last episode or the first episode.
Okay, sure, yep.
So
go back on the Watkins IT website or on my Facebook page or YouTube. I have youtube.com/Rothman20814 is the YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well for our old things on SharePoint. So Joe, tell the audience, what is the difference between SharePoint 2010 and SharePoint 2007?
Well, SharePoint 2010 is really going to be a nice product. All of us as developers and in the IT professional industry have really been looking forward to this release. SharePoint, let's just say it wasn't a perfect product. WSS 3.0 wasn't necessarily all the nuts tightened and the bolts completely down pat. There was a big change from WSS 2.0, which was sometimes commonly referred to as SharePoint Portal Server 2003. That was the last version, kind of the 2003 timeframe. There was a huge architecture change in 2007. They completely revamped the entire product, pretty much changed everything and just kept the name. So the nuts and the bolts and the guts of that program were really changed significantly. Now with the change to 2010, it's still on the same platform. All the guts are still there, but they really had the last 3 years to just kind of build on top of it and really improve it. And a lot of this the users are going to see. You're going to see big changes. Number one, there's a new ribbon in SharePoint 2010. You're familiar
like in
with
Office?
Office 2007 introduced the ribbon and the whole concept of the ribbon. I know a lot of you out there, when you first saw the ribbon, I was one of them. When I first saw the ribbon, I was like, what in the world is this? What do I do with this ribbon? You were so used to the other mouth, and now it's just second nature. And I think for the most part, people would agree that the ribbon is a great thing. So SharePoint 2010 is introducing a ribbon. There's lots of other enhanced rich media support, if you will. In the last few years, we've seen the influx of Twitter and of YouTube and of Facebook and all these social marketing things.
Right. Is that what you mean by rich media?
No, rich media is really revolved around Microsoft's concept of Silverlight.
Yes, we have.
We've done a Tech Tips on Silverlight. And Silverlight is really just kind of putting that lipstick on the pig, like I said on that episode.
Gotcha. Making it look pretty.
Making it look pretty and function nice for the user. And there's a back-end technology called Ajax that really, when you're on a website and you click a button and the page flashes, that's what's called a postback. It goes back to the server. Ajax allows you to do that without the screen flash, so you can send information back and forth, and it's kind of transparent to the user. It just kind of turns. Imagine a digital clock with the second hand turning every second, but the page not flashing and refreshing. That's an Ajax technology. So now inherent in SharePoint 2010 is Ajax, is Silverlight, things that from a development perspective, SharePoint 2007, it was quite cumbersome to implement. It wasn't impossible, and we've done a lot of great things here at Watkins IT with those technologies. But now with 2010, that's all native. Also with SharePoint 2007, Microsoft introduced Excel services, which for some of our more business-oriented customers Excel Services is a great tool. Allows
it's a reporting tool.
Allows you to bring in Excel spreadsheets directly through into SharePoint and really expose business data, pivot tables, things like that. They're introducing with 2010 new Visio services.
Okay.
Very similar, just using the Visio product for diagrams and graphing and certain things like that, which will be pretty cool.
So from what I've heard from my contacts at Microsoft, SharePoint 2010 is due out in June in conjunction with Office 2010. What is the marriage between, say, Office 2010 and SharePoint 2010?
Well, there's a big marriage, and it's been since SharePoint 2007 has most of this capability as well. You can directly connect like a SharePoint calendar to your Outlook calendar.
Okay.
You can connect a SharePoint task list to your Outlook as well, where you can manage your tasks and workflows. So you can get an Outlook and create a new task, and that information is already automatically uploaded to your SharePoint, which can kick off things like workflows and approvals and go through that whole process. And it seamlessly integrates with all the Office products, Word, Excel, all of those. So that's going to continue to be with Office 2010. More exciting product, though, for us as developers is Visual Studio 2010. For most of you out there, you have no idea and you don't care what Visual Studio is. For us, that's what I live in every day as a developer, is Visual Studio. It's what allows me to program websites and build code.
And you're doing that on top of SharePoint sometimes.
Correct. Well, and more interacting that with SharePoint. And currently, it's really tough to integrate Visual Studio 2008 with SharePoint 2007. With Visual Studio 2010 and SharePoint 2010 all coming out at the same time, and the new .NET platform, which will be 4.0. It's really exciting. All of the Silverlight, Ajax, all of that capabilities are automatically integrated between the two, and it's just going to be a more seamless work environment, which to you, the business consumer, makes it a lot cheaper for you to have us do that development.
The feeling that I'm getting from Microsoft is everything's going to be integrated. Everything's going to be working together and communicating and talking.
Absolutely. What a perfect, that's utopia for us. If we can go to one central location and make everything happen in all your business processes, what's better? It's fantastic. And really from a development perspective too, there's going to be much enhanced usage reporting. If any of your business out there have SharePoint now, you might find that once you get to 10,000, 20,000 items in a list, performance starts degrading, things like that. Microsoft's really addressed a lot of those issues. A lot of the kind of behind-the-scenes things, unless you're a SharePoint administrator, you might not know about. But for us, it's a really big tool to really provide you with that better product.
Okay. Well, Joe, thank you very much. I learned a lot about SharePoint 2010. I hope the audience learned a lot about SharePoint 2010. Since this is the holiday edition of Tech Tips, Joe, can you please share with the audience, what is Joseph Crabtree doing for the holiday and for the new year?
Well, I've got to give a happy holidays to my mom out there, going home to Indiana, actually, where I'm from,
Frankfurt, Indiana, going home,
spend time with the family. We just have a lot of tradition there, and with my grandparents and family as well, so that'll be a nice time.
Well, very nice. Well, enjoy. Have a safe journey.
Thank you.
To
Hope
Indiana.
The airports are cleared out from this blizzard this weekend.
Hopefully, knock on wood there. There we go.
Yeah.
So I definitely appreciate that. And Joe, you've been a great asset to the Tech Tips team here, and we hope to have you on many Tech Tips in the year 2010. Also, a special shout out to Jonathan Johnson, John, as our cameraman back there. He's a key part of the Tech Tips team as well. So once again, this is Tech Tips with Matt Rothman. If any of you in the audience would like to be a guest in the next year, please feel free to contact me. This is Tech Tips with Matt Rothman.